Howdy, Fi Guys. Welcome back to the Fi Guys podcast. If this is your first time, welcome in. I'm Dom. He's Chris. And today we are talking about the 10 Commandments of Business Failure by Don Keough. Hopefully I said that right, Chris. Did I say that right?
You got it.
All right. Yeah, buddy. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. We're going to be recapping Monday's episode, and then we're going to be doing a viewer mailbag towards the end where we, I guess, pick a letter out of a bag, theoretical bag. It's an email. I won't lie to you. And we talk about it. We try and help the person, and then we get on to win of the week, and there you go. So, yeah, with that being said.
And please be sure to stick around for win of the week because we got some pretty juicy ones. I got a pretty cool one that I'm super excited to talk about.
I got a good one, too.
You might actually be able to glean some wisdom as to how to travel for the world for free. It's something that I do all the time. So hopefully you guys can get there.
Alrighty, let's do it. Let's get into it.
The 10 Commandments of Business Failure. I think it was Charlie Munger that once said, if you're trying to figure out a problem, invert. Always invert. And it's the exact same thing with Don Keough's book. You know, Don was asked, how can I make sure that my business succeeds? And Don's response was, there's nothing I can tell you that can guarantee your business success. But what I can tell you is what you can do to make sure that your business fails. Because in order for something to succeed, it takes a lot of persistent effort, timing, and luck. What's going to cause it to fail are going to happen regardless of all those things. So instead of recapping every single one that we talked about on Monday's pod, if you want to hear all 10 commandments, maybe a bonus one, go ahead and listen back to Monday's pod. But today we're just going to talk about our favorite one. So Dominic, do you have a favorite of the 10 commandments, or maybe a top 2 or 3 that you want to talk about?
You know, I'll give a few that I really liked.
You go one by one, we'll talk about them.
Okay. I like number 3, isolating yourself. That's something you don't want to do. You don't want to isolate yourself. I liked it because oftentimes, especially in our country, it's very polarizing now. People are so divisive. And, it's like, I want people who are just, I want other versions of Dom. I want Dom 1, Dom 2, Dom 3, Dom 4 with me. I want my army of Doms. It's like, no, that's wrong. You should have, Dom 1, Chris 1, Joe 3. It's like you should have different points of view, not just yes man, not just people who are, what's the term you use? I think it was like groupthink or something like that.
Yeah, groupthink. Yep, exactly.
And I thought that was really interesting because, in our country, the way our government works, it's like checks and balances. And oftentimes in our own life, we don't have checks and balances in regards to our friend group, right? You might just have the friend group around you be like, yeah, like this is fine, you're good, go. It's like, but there's no one like that mom figure where it's like, honey, I think you're going down a wrong path. And you're like, no, Mom, I know what's best. You're old. It's like, I know what's good. I'm hip. It's like, no, you need those checks and balances. So definitely don't isolate yourself. I don't know. What'd you think of that one?
No, I mean, that one's such a good one. And I think you took it to a really good place with politics. And I know we're not a political show, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But our founding fathers, one of the biggest concerns they had to our democracy was that it would one day become a duopoly, where there'd be 2 warring factions fighting for the soul of the nation. 2 extremes on both ends, which unfortunately we now have. We have a duopoly. We have Democrats and Republicans. Is there a third party? Sure, but they're never going to win at this point because the duopoly is okay. If the right wins, then the left gets to cry foul and try to get money. If the left wins, the right gets to call foul and lose money. Only in politics is that duopoly so strong. In other brands of business, we stop that from happening. Look at like Coke and Pepsi. They would be called a duopoly. Like they're the 2 biggest soda companies. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other ones. That doesn't mean there isn't still Dr. Pepper. There aren't other ones still trying to come in. It's not a true duopoly. That's what we try to prevent. We try to prevent monopolies from new duopolies. But in the American system, we have a true duopoly where they both benefit from each other's winning. And the one thing they're trying to do is keep any other party out. There are other places in this country. It is not written into law that there should be only 2 parties. In fact, the founding fathers would be pretty distraught at where we are right now because of that. And it's the exact same thing with your business. If you just surround yourself with people who are only listening to you and, worst comes to worst, like that's the way it is. Like everything needs nuance. You need to have nuanced discussions. And if you're going either extreme, you're going to fail. And I've talked about Taoism before on this. Like it's about the middle way. It's about finding the middle way. And the middle way is constantly changing and it's hard and it's consistent effort. But it's that consistent effort and that hard work that's going to get you to where you want to go. If you're constantly the person that's like, I just want the quick fix, you're never going to get there because there is no quick fix.
Yeah, I like that. So my top three, I was a fan of number 3, isolating yourself. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
My top one that I really like is putting all your faith in experts and outside consultants. Man, I can't tell you how many times as a business owner I get unsolicited business advice. And I got to say, like, I don't mind when if you're emailing me and you're someone trying to sell me something, like, I get it. Send me your email. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to delete it. But like, feel free to send it to me.
Yeah.
Like, feel free to tell me like, hey, this isn't going well for you. You need to buy my product. Feel free to send it to me. I'm going to delete it, but feel free. But what I don't like is someone coming up to you, like, I don't know, they know I'm a financial advisor, and they start telling me, oh, you know what the best thing is to do this or to do that. And I ask them like, oh yeah, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm a plumber. Why would I listen to you? Like, if you're a business owner, if you're a business plumber, you say like, these are the things I did for my business, and you want to offer that up as this is good insight, that's totally fine. But to tell me that this is that you know how to run my business without knowing anything about what I do, get the hell out, because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. The only criticism and constructive criticism you really would want to hear is someone who's also in the arena with you. I don't know if you've heard that man in the arena speech. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
It's let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But it's basically saying, I want to get it right for you.
Which, while you do that, I would say, like, it's not just people in your arena, but also your customers. Those are the only people that really matter. The random guy on the street telling you, oh, you wanna do this in life? Like, do this. What the hell do you know? How do I know that you know what you're talking about?
Yeah. So the man in the arena quote is basically, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better, but the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose faces are marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly and errs, who comes up short again and again, but who spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at best knows that in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at their worst, if fails, at least knows excuse me. If he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. So basically what I take away from that quote is, if you're not in my arena battling right next to me, what are you doing? You don't have any expertise in the matter. Only want your opinion on things when I ask for it. And if you're going to give your opinion, you better be standing from a place of experience.
Yeah.
And in a direction that I want to go. It's like,
yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, please go.
From a go back to like jujitsu or something like that. In jujitsu, there's a lot of times where you'll watch a tournament and you'll watch someone get beat, and people can sit there and they can, what's it called? I think it's called armchair quarterbacking. You can sit there and be like, oh, that person's so stupid. I would have done this. I'd have done this. I'd have done this.
Yeah.
And it sounds good looking in. But at the end of the day, when you're in the stands and you're hearing people say that, it's like, you go on there and do it on the mat then. You go and show me. Get out there and actually do it. Rather than sitting there and telling me how to run my business, how to do things, how about you get in here with me and show me how to do it? Because if you don't have success, if you're just the person who's like, oh, I'm a business coach and I do all these things. Okay, well, what have you done? What business have you run? And this might be, again, I'm not kind of trying to get super political, but this might be the issue when it comes to like colleges and stuff like that, where people are going into these liberal arts colleges and they're coming out with all these crazy ideas as to how business works. It's because it's people that didn't go and run businesses and then go back to the college, because people that run businesses don't often leave their business to go to academia and teach. Some people do, and those people are heroes, but most people that teach are people that weren't able to make it in business.
Yep.
So they leave and they go and try to teach business on as to like, oh, it's all this pie in the sky, happy fun time where everyone just sits around and hugs. And that's not really how it works. It's the same thing with fighting and with war. All of these things are the same. And that's why when people say like, oh, this is, all these things that are happening in the Middle East and all this stuff, it's wrong. This is the way it should happen. You're not an expert in this. You need to listen to the military experts. You need to hear other people's opinions, even if you don't like them, even if the truth is it's going to get messy and it's dirty and it's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, oftentimes we discredit expertise and we think that we know it all. But that goes along with like the knowledge curve. The more ignorant you are, the more you think you know. But then when you start to learn more, you only then start to discover how much you don't know. And that's tough.
And that's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Do you know you listen to Joe Rogan? I know you do a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Did you hear about the whole like Terrence Howard controversy?
I saw the headlines, but I didn't read into it. Tell me about it.
So Terrence, super smart guy. He's like super smart actor, and he got really into physics and geometry, and he basically had a kind of a theory of everything that he thought worked. And I think it comes down to the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is if you only know so little about a subject, you don't know the depth of knowledge that you don't have. So he came in there with this 5-point concept as to like how the world actually works. His whole philosophy, this whole thing was built on a house of cards because his foundation wasn't there. And I'm not saying you have to be an expert in all things. You have to go to college in order to call yourself an expert. Yeah. You certainly don't. You can teach yourself all these things, but if you don't have a good understanding, you don't have a good foundation, and you build this house of cards, it's all going to crumble down. And that's unfortunately what happened to him when he, I think it was Brett Weinstein came on against him, an actual mathematician, an actual doctor. Okay. And they were on the Joe Rogan Experience. I think it was like a 4-hour podcast. This is the whole thing. But it was the entire time, it was just Brett tearing down everything that Terrence thought he knew, because everything that Terrence was saying, like, I know this, was like, you're fundamentally flawed. The foundation that you're building on is wrong. And even Neil deGrasse Tyson had to come out and say the exact same thing because Terrence threw Neil under the bus. He said, like, oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson was doing all this stuff. And he's like, no, I was trying to be kind. I was trying to tell you that the way you're looking at this is fundamentally flawed. And if you don't want to hear that, that's fine, but don't call me out against it. And it's so interesting that the two ones that you chose, that we just chose right now, don't isolate yourself and don't put faith in experts, are basically polar opposites. And again, the truth comes somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. As everything always does. The middle is always the best path forward because it pleases everybody, and it's just better, It's just better, unless you're one of those
Siths.
One of those Siths. I was gonna relate it to like, the middle of the brownie is always better than the outside. Then I'm like, I'm just a liar. I like the crunch.
That's a liar. The outside's the best, bro.
One. Yeah. Have you seen those pans where it's kind of like a snake one?
Edges.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I gotta give me one of them. Yeah, I gotta give me one of them. But there we go, talking about food again. And oddly enough, my win of the week is food related, and it is a big shout out to Chris. You'll see later in the podcast. But yeah, the middle path is always a better path. And
but it's also the harder path.
It is. You're gonna piss everybody off.
It's harder in the long term. The short path sounds good, or the easy path, the extreme path sounds good in the moment, but it leads to destruction.
Yeah.
Where the middle path does not sound good in the middle. But it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good to say like, we're only going to please some of you. Some of you are going to be mad, because there's never going to be a time where everyone's going to be happy, and that's just the way it is.
To please everyone,
it's going to lead to
go for it. I was going to say, to please everyone, you're just an enemy of yourself.
Exactly. I'm thinking recently, I teach jiu-jitsu down at Gracie Barra, and we're trying to introduce a new class into the day that I'm going to be the head instructor for. And it's a morning class. And, I try to put out a poll. Hey, what time do you guys want the morning class? Do you want it at 6:00, 7, 7:30? And everyone's throwing out their ideas. And, and I'm like, all right. And everyone's throwing out their ideas. And I say, we're going to do 7:00. And everyone starts complaining. Half the people are happy. Half the people are mad. Everyone's upset. And then finally they say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to listen to all you guys. I'm just going to do 6:50 because 6:50 works best for me.
Yeah.
And some people are upset. Some people are happy. But there's no way in hell that I could ever find a perfect time of the day to make every single person happy. And that's okay. Because eventually, if I try to make everyone happy, no one would be happy. Because then everyone happy would be just saying, we're not going to do it. We're just not going to do it because we can't
class
find
is canceled.
peace.
I quit.
Yeah. Class is canceled. Is that what you really wanted? I was going to take my ball and go home.
That's right. I mean, you're gonna show up at 6:50. You're gonna see me training. Doors will be locked. You're gonna be like, oh, I want to train. No, you had your chance.
No, I'm gonna be rolling around by myself.
Exactly. It's gonna look really strange, but it's gonna be what it is. I love that. That's really funny.
What's your second favorite one of Don Keough's commandments?
Oh man, they're all so good. Everything from don't play a sketchy game, the foul line one, to clear communication. I don't want to give all of them away. I'm not going to say all of them. I think my next favorite would be number 10, actually. And I think that's one of the very, very underrated ones.
What is that again?
That one, number 10, is be afraid of the future, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously this is 10 commandments of business failure. So it's the inverse, right? So it's the inverse. So you can't be afraid of the future. And for me, that's something that I struggle with constantly, right? The fear of the unknown, the fear of taking the risk, the fear of taking on more than I can handle. It's quite prevalent in my world, you know? If I want to succeed, I have to, and that's the thing about fear is like, it almost, I don't know if it ever goes away. Like
Nope,
you
it doesn't.
conquer it, you get to the next level and you're like, dude, I don't know, did it. Like, I lived in fear for so long, I did it. And then the next thing is like, dude, this next thing coming around the corner, dude, it's even scarier. It's even bigger, you know, you're even more pressure. It's like, I don't know if I can do it. And it's just boom, boom, boom.
Think about Amazon. Think about NVIDIA. Like those companies, the reason they're successful is because they're terrified that I'm going to fail if I don't stop. And it leads to success, but it's a hard way to live. And that's the dichotomy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And unfortunately, we're all like, I'm very pessimistic by nature. I'm glass half empty every single time.
Okay.
Like, that's just the way I look at things. Yeah. And I also have a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. And what's the opposite of an abundance mindset? A scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
I have a very strong scarcity mindset, and people shit on that of like, oh, you have a scarcity mindset. That's so stupid. That's not how things work. But my scarcity mindset is what's led me to be where I am now today, being pretty financially successful because of that. I'm not saying that I don't try to fight to be more optimistic. It's a struggle that I have to have every single day to try to get more to the middle, because if you live in that pessimism all the time, you're going to lead to a pretty sad life. But if you're also living to all optimism all the time, in financial terms, what I call with my people that I work with, I call them dreamers. And dreamers are the people who are like, oh, if I invest in this next thing, if I buy this next thing, it's all going to work out. And they're constantly trying to find that next thing that's going to finally open the gates of heaven and get them in there. And unfortunately, they're never going to find it. So again, it comes on the extreme of the pessimism and the optimism. But unfortunately, so many people, they fall to extremes, and more people are willing to listen to the pessimist because pessimism keeps you alive right now, where optimism keeps you alive on the long term. Yeah. And the goal, again, is to find the middle.
Yeah, it is. It's because we don't want to, I think I dislike that. I dislike that people crap on you for scarcity mindset. It's like, it's no different than people crapping on you for being Democrat or Republican. It's like, it's just one side of the coin. Doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it worse. Just one side of the coin. Can't have all abundance, can't have all scarcity. You need both to balance things out. And I know you talk about your wife a lot, and I know she's probably more abundant, and you're more scarcity.
100%.
100%.
So, 100%.
And it's beautiful. It balances it out, because if you were both scarcity, well, then you wouldn't go on trips. I know you wouldn't go on trips. You'd be in shelter and just like save and like invest and like grow, just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I totally get that. But
yeah, and luckily, like because of that balance, we've been able to find like something that I get to teach now to our students here and to my clients is, you get to focus on what's important to you. You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything. It's the same thing I have to teach my wife. We can do anything we want, but we can't do everything. So if you want to have all of the purses and all the dresses and all of the shoes, that's fine, but we're not going to be able to travel. That's just the way the world works. There's a finite amount of money that we have right now. And yes, we can go and make more money, but unfortunately, what often happens is you make more money and then your lifestyle inflates to that same amount of money. So now you're hamstrung to continue to make more money. And that's the definition of the rat race that most people find themselves in every single day. And they don't know how to get out until you start to look at that real concept of what is enough for me. And until you know what enough is, you'll never be satisfied. Nope. And it's hard. It's really hard. And I'm not going to say it ever gets easier.
Yeah. Because it has to do with like self-worth and how you were raised and safety and security. It's like, it's a little of everything. It's a little of everything. And it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. And I think that there's an old quote. It's human beings contain multitudes. We're not one thing. We're all things at all times. That's what we are. In Buddhism, there's the concept of trying to take something down to its parts. So if I was to tell you, like, maybe it'd be easier if I took a cake as an example rather than a human being. What is a cake? Like, what is a cake? And then if we took that cake, we broke it down to its component parts. We have eggs, we have flour, we have milk, we have sugar, all those things. If I took the egg and said, is this a cake? And you said, no, it's not a cake. And I took the flour and said, is this cake? No. And if I took all these things and I just crack an egg and I put all the stuff together and I don't mix it, I go, is this cake? And you go, no. And then until I blend it, and even when it's still mushy, it's still not cake until I put it in the oven. And now all of those things combined make cake. Same thing with a human being. What is you? You're not your brain. You're not your thoughts. You're not your body. You're not your future. You're not your past. You're all of it. If you take away any one of those things, you're still you. I know it's more of a philosophical question and more of like, what is conscious? But all these things, they all kind of come in together. So before we move on to win of the week, I want to talk about my last favorite one. And it's if you want to fail at business, don't take time to think. I think majority of people's life outside of like living and like trying to just survive is you should be thinking all the time. And unfortunately, I think we're at a very much lack of that today. People aren't thinking. They're being told what to think by other people and they're believing it as fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only until you think for yourself, you will never be free. Yeah. You have to think. In business, it's 100% imperative or you fail. But in life, you can go through your entire life not thinking. And then not until you wake up at some point, or maybe never wake up, and you realize that you never lived the life that you wanted to because you never questioned what that life means, what that is for you. And you were listening to other people tell you what your life should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think with that being said, you ready to get on the viewer mail?
Yeah, so we got on a viewer mailbag. And please, guys, if you want to hear all 10 commandments and maybe even a bonus one that I kicked in there, that's my own, please listen to Monday's pod, the 10 Commandments of Business Failure. And with that, I say we get on to the viewer mailbag. I think we have a pretty big one today.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is, like Chris said, this one's going to be a bit of a doozy. This is a bit, I mean, to be honest, when it comes to picking them, we like picking the doozies. We love good drama. We love the big, the saucy ones. So
we get quite a bit. And I know that you search for the good ones. And you're just like, I'm only going to bring Chris the really messed up ones, because I've seen some of the other ones that are pretty like mundane.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be a fine video. Yeah. But like, I like the ones that you find that you bring on because they're way better.
So I think I may have to work until I die. That is the headline for today's viewer mailbag. And as we say, this is going to be a doozy. So let's get into it. I am 40 years old, not me personally. Although if I did look this good at 40, I'll tell you what, I'd be telling you my skincare routine. That's for sure. All right. So I am 40 years old and had an unconventional upbringing as a ward of the state throughout my childhood. What is a ward? That like
it means that you're dependent on the state. So basically that means you're an orphan.
Oh, okay.
That you don't have parents.
That's much more sad than what I thought. I was thinking like a ward, it's like it's a mage or like a wizard or something like that. I don't know.
No, like think of Robin was Batman's ward.
That's exactly that's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, I'm like
he's a wizard. No,
I'm like, that'd be a sick upbringing, man. I'm like, dude, crime fighting like that.
No, it means you're an orphan. You're an orphan of the state.
Gotcha. Not as great.
Not as great.
All right, so let's do this. So, not a Batman and Robin story, unfortunately. I have never lived with my parents, and I moved between various homes and facilities until I was about 14 years old.
It's tough.
I know, right? From then on, I couch surfed and lived wherever I could find shelter. During this time, I socialized, partied, and navigated life without any guidance on finance. I took out credit cards as soon as I could just to survive, without understanding the impact on my future. I've always held a job since I was legally able to work starting at 16. I've been employed continuously. Recently, making 10 years at one of the big 3 tech companies. It's amazing.
Nice.
Despite being skilled at my job, I struggle with self-promotion and negotiating raises. Likely hindered my career progress due to my difficulty in self-assessment during my company evaluations. And additionally, I've never really prioritized learning about retirement plans or advancing in my career because I couldn't afford that deduction.
I couldn't afford the deduction. Have you ever done self-assessments during like company things?
No. Tell me about
it. I think they're really silly. Yeah, self-assessments are like basically, when you're like every year your boss is supposed to sit you down and be like, hey, this is what you're doing well at, this is what you're not supposed to be doing well at. And obviously, if you're a good boss, you're doing it more than once a year. If you're only giving your person feedback once a year, you're a pretty shitty boss. But formally once a year, that's fine, but you should be doing it every single day. But a self-assessment is basically they give you a piece of paper and they say, how do you think you're doing? And then you get to fill out this nice piece of paper about how you think you're doing. And then they go, Yeah, wrong. This is how you do it.
Rug pull. Yeah, that sucks. That
I
sucks.
think they're very silly to have someone self-assess.
Like, you're
But
telling me I'm
yeah,
not a god in this workplace? What are you saying? It's like, sir, you've been late 6 times this week. It's like, what? Okay, so a bit of history. I became a father at 23 while renting a room. Soon after, congratulations on being a father. Soon after, I moved into a duplex for about 5 years while working in a cellular industry. Although I had a stable income, I lacked financial knowledge still, and I never really saved much beyond the occasional treats for my family. Later, I rented a house and had my second child, but living paycheck to paycheck still persisted. Joining one of the big 3 tech companies initially improved my financial situation, but I continued to struggle with managing my money and understanding the financial tools like retirement plans, IRAs, and 401ks. Yes, making more money
so
does help, but
yes. So he said he was 23 at the time, and now he's 40. Okay, so he's just kind of going back. He's 40 now. Okay, good. That's a little confused. Cool.
Okay, my rental experience. Okay, here we go. My rental experience has been quite unfortunate. I've moved about 5 times since my oldest son was born, often due to homes being sold out from underneath us with little notice. Is that legal? I thought it was a.
If you're living on like a month to month, typically it's 30 days.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't know. Every contract's different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Most contracts has a 60-day breach, but some of them have 30-day breaches. Some of them you can go immediately. It really depends on the contract.
That's sad. These moves have depleted my savings, and they've depleted my savings that I managed to accumulate over the years, with my last move costing over $5,000 in deposits and moving expenses. Yeah, moving is very expensive. Storage,
Yeah, that
renting
sounds
the
about right.
U-Haul. Yeah.
People don't think about that too.
Dude.
When they're thinking like, oh, I'm just going to move to this another place because it's cheaper or something like that. It's like, you have to think about how much, not only money, but time and effort. And you have to calculate your time and effort and what that's worth too.
Bingo.
But back to the story.
Bingo. Living in the expensive Pacific Northwest. You know a little bit about that, right, Chris?
I do know a little bit about that. I used to live in Sacramento, which is quite close to Oregon, which is Pacific Northwest.
Okay. Housing costs are exuberant, and the yearly rent increases add to the financial strain that they do. I don't own a home. I finance my car. I have student loans and only possess a few assets. I'm worried about working indefinitely to support my family, especially since I need a home office to do my remote job. I know for me personally, my grandfather on my mom's side, and back then, he ran his own business, camera shop. There were no pensions, so he worked all the way up until he couldn't, and then he collected Social Security. So, I mean, it's definitely this is a real thing for a lot of people in America right now.
Well, I want you to think about this. Like, retirement is a fairly new phenomenon. I mean, the 401k is only like 40 years old.
It's crazy.
But before that, and like before pensions, like it was you worked until you couldn't work. And the reason you couldn't work is because you were going to die. Like that was just the way it worked. There wasn't a retirement. So
it's crazy.
I know it's sad to think I'm gonna have to work till I die, but it's because you're comparing yourself to other people who say they retired young, not comparing yourself to the way that we've lived our entire humanity, which was you work till you die. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Despite having over a decade in IT experience and a Google IT certification, I earn around $27 per hour. Now, depending on where you live in the country, $27 per hour can be great or can be horrible, right? For me, 27 would be really great here. Not bad. I would really enjoy that. 27 over in California, that's rough, buddy. That's rough. I feel stuck and uncertain about what steps to take next. I'm just looking for some advice, and I'm thinking I'm out of time. What should I do? What should my first steps be? Any advice would help. Thank you. I'm eager for your guidance. I love that. We love here at the Five Guys. We love people who are willing to learn and better their lives. So props to you, my guy. From T skills in hand, yet life feels like sand. Working big 3 tech, but finances feel a wreck. All right, that one. The riddles always trip me up. No matter how many times I say it, they always get me. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to do it. It's hard to do a good rhyme.
It's tough. I wish I came back as Dr. Seuss, but unfortunately I'm not that guy. But What do you think,
So,
Chris? What do you think?
so big three tech companies, I'm going to assume is either Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. With him saying he has a Google IT certificate, I'm going to assume it's Google. So let's just go there.
Yeah.
So $27 an hour to work at Google. That's $56,000 a year before before taxes. Yeah, I could see where like this might be hard to do if you're working in the Pacific Northwest and probably a more expensive area. But one thing that first off, before we get into any of this, you really need to think about where you started. Like, I know that you're not where you want to be, but you started as a ward of the state. You were passed around from family to family your entire life, never learned anything about money. And now you have a wife, you have 2 kids, and you are supporting them to the best of your ability. We cannot discount that. You have come up so far from where you started. And unfortunately, it's very sad, but the average of someone's success can usually be determined by their zip code, by where they were brought up. And you were brought up moving from house to house, not learning a lot, constantly being thrown into different, I'm sure, turmoils. I'm sure you have a bunch of traumas that are still there, still lingering. But you overcame all that. And now look where you are. So I don't know who you're comparing yourself to, but you need to compare yourself to who you were yesterday and compare yourself to where you started. Think about the other kids who you saw that were in the orphanage maybe growing up. Where are they today? And where are you in relation to them?
Yeah, that's a tough upbringing. That's tough. That's really tough.
It's really tough. And remember that getting better is going to take time, but every little bit helps, and it's never too late to start. Again, it sounds like you built a great life in general, and you should be so proud of that. There's no reason you shouldn't be. And being good at your finances, it's going to be a step-by-step process, and it's going to take some time, and that's okay. I'm sure that's the reason you're listening to the Fi Guys, is to get better at it. And you're going to get better at it over time, but it's going to take consistent effort and work. But what we need to do is we need to shift our attitude, because you're 40 years old and you sound like you're about to die.
Yeah.
You sound like you're defeated. At 40 years old, 2 kids and a wife. You have everything in the world to fight for right now. Every single thing that you have is right here, and you have to just get started. What it sounds like is right now we're blaming the reason that we can't settle down on a house, on renting or owning a home. That has not much to do with it. $56,000 a year to live off of for a family of 4 in the Pacific Northwest is going to be tough. So what can we do right now? What classes can we take? Can we talk to our managers? What can we do to start promoting ourselves? You have over a decade of experience in IT. That is not a job that is like, oh, well, sorry, there's not many jobs out here available. There are a bunch of different things. If you need to leave your current one big tech company to go to another, that might have to happen. But I also want you to remember, before you do that, let's think of all the benefits that you have. You get to work from home with and be home near your kids. That's pretty big. If you're renting a house, do you really need to have an office that's only dedicated to your office? Yeah. Can you maybe do it in a corner of, I don't know, the living room, or a corner of your own master bedroom? I don't understand why people say, like, I need to have a bigger house with an office in order to support it because I work from home. Yeah. I understand it's sacrifice, but all of life is a sacrifice. You can have anything you want, but you could not have everything. Yeah. And you even said when you started working for one of the big 3 companies, you started making more money and your financial situation improved, but then it immediately went back to the same situation. And the reason for that is because, let's say you went from, I don't know, $40,000 to $60,000, and now you're like, oh, I finally made it. I had that $20,000 that's going to get me there. But then your lifestyle inflated immediately to $60,000. And that's the reason you didn't have any money to put into your IRA, into your 401k, into your retirement plan. Had you gotten the $20,000 raise, had you been working with me, I would have said, all right, cool. Let's take 10% of that or 20% of that or whatever amount we can take, and let's move that to our 401k, not even see it. But you didn't do that. And now you've absorbed it into your life. And I can guarantee you, if you get another promotion that goes to $80,000, $100,000, and you're not mindful of this, it's going to happen again. You're going to find yourself at the same exact situation. So when it comes to first steps, what do I need to do? I think we know what we need to do. Do we have a spending plan? Do we know how much money is going out every month? We know how much money is coming in. $27 an hour. If you're working a 40-hour work week, that's $56,000 some odd cents. Do you know what your tax rate is? Do you know what your take home is at the end of the year? Have you looked at your tax returns? Pull out your 2023 tax returns and see what the take home was. Know that number. Start tracking your money. Start knowing how much money is going out And you're not tracking your money to create a budget, because a budget is backwards thinking. It does nothing. It literally does nothing. But when you actually track your spending and you look at your spending, you say, oh, wow, I spent all this money on this stuff. And you can categorize it and say, that stuff is not worth doing. I don't want to do that anymore. I recently read an article of a way that people, this one person categorizes their spending that I really liked. I don't think I'm going to use it for myself, but I'm definitely going to talk to my clients about it. Whenever they spend something, they give it a category of a 1, a 2, or a 3. A 1 is, and they look at it 24 hours after making that purchase. A 1 is, I would definitely do that again. That was so worth the money. A 2 is, I could live without it or not. And a 3 was, I should not have bought that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, they get to go look back and look at all of their 3s, look at all their 2s, look at all their 1s. And if they have 1s and all those things that they really, really liked, great, let's put more money to that.
Yeah.
But they have a bunch of 3s. And so many people, from what I found, is they're spending all their money on the 3s, on the things that don't matter, because they think it's going to bring momentary happiness. And all of their money that should be going to 1s, should be going to the thing that's moving your life, is going to a bunch of 3s.
Yeah.
And you're inflating your life for bullshit that you don't care about. It isn't actually bringing you joy.
Perfectly said. Perfect.
Maybe start to work on that. Once we know how much money we have, how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and be mindful of that, then we can start to decide how much money we want to put towards our IRA, towards non-qualified accounts. Right now, at your age, I would be trying to put as much money as I possibly can into either the 401k or the IRA before maxing out the non-qualified account. And the one thing that I do like about 401ks, depending on your company and what options they have for you, is that it comes out before you even get the paycheck.
Yep.
If you have an IRA, you have to get that paycheck and then you have to move the money yourself. With an IRA, with a 401k, say you make $2,000 or $1,000 in the paycheck and you want to contribute 3%, well, $30 of that paycheck is automatically going to come out and you're only going to get $970. And let's say we can keep on building up on that. 3% is not a lot. I grant you, it's not a lot, but it's taking time to build these muscles over time. You're not going to walk into the gym, see the most jack guy in the corner squatting 600 pounds and be like, I'm going to do that next. No, you have to start with just the bar. If you get underneath the weight, not knowing what you're doing, you're going to fuck yourself up. And it's the same thing in finances, but only in finances do people think they can be good at it, because luck can allow you to be good at it for a certain amount of time. Only in the market stock market can you walk in, buy some random stock and it go up 20% tomorrow and you think that you're a genius. If you try doing that on a sports field, if you try walking up against an NFL player and say, I bet I can beat you in a 40, you will be beaten so fast and we will know it immediately. But in the stock market can be irrational much longer than the average person can remain solvent. Meaning that you can look like you're doing well for longer than you should be, because that's just the way the market works. Only by buying good companies and holding for the long term can we actually guarantee that we're going to grow our wealth. But if you're saying, I'm just going to figure this out really quick and you're trying to get the quick get rich quick scheme, I can't guarantee you what's going to get you to being financially successful, but I can guarantee you what's going to get you to failure.
Yeah.
What's going to get you to failure is not paying attention to how much money you're spending, not paying attention to how much you're making, and then not investing the difference into different assets. And this investing thing, it's very, very deep. So is the making money thing. So is the spending money thing. These are all very deep subjects that we could spend multiple podcasts on going to each one of them. And you need to start working towards it yourself. But please, 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 please don't think that I'm harping on you. I am not. Look at where you have come. Look at where you've come from where you started. You're a freaking superhero, dude. I may have not have I grew up, I was so lucky. And I look back on my childhood, so lucky to grow up in America to 2 parents that love me. You know, we may not have had all the money in the world. We certainly didn't. And while I could look at other people who had a bunch of money and be jealous of them, it doesn't matter to me, because this is the family that I did have, and I wouldn't change them for the world, because I knew that they loved me. And, you know, hopefully you found someone in your spouse and in your kids that love you. I know your kids love you, guaranteed. Hopefully your spouse loves you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But keep on serving them every single day. Keep on trying to get better. Not for you. Not for you. Get better for them.
Yeah. Bingo. Well, perfectly said, Chris. I hope that information helps you, man. Good luck. You got this. And maybe we'll hear back from you in a few years saying, freaking did it.
Yeah, freaking did it. Got a big job, got a huge promotion. I'm really excited for it. But dude, you got to start just working at it. You deserve more money. You definitely do. And you have the experience to get it. You have some limiting beliefs. I think that has to do with your childhood. And I know I've said it a few times, and I know that it seems to turn some people off, but like you might want to consider therapy.
Yeah.
Like honestly consider therapy and try to focus on your limiting beliefs, because right now you're expending a lot of energy looking at what others have and wishing you had what others have, rather than putting that energy into getting what others have.
Bingo. It's true. It's very true. Well, with that being said, good luck. And now we're going to get on to win of the week. So I know Chris usually has the better win of the week, and this week is no different. But yeah, no, you thought I was going to go with it, but this week, no, I'm getting cooked this week as well. But with the cooking reference, last week's pod, Chris told me about, I made a pizza, right? First time I learned how to make dough. It was a wonderful experience. I've always wanted to learn how to make dough. I learned how to make dough. We're not talking about money. You know, this is a financial podcast. We're talking about actual dough here, pizza dough. Learned how to make it. And it came out as not, I mean, the dough was not bad. Okay, it was not bad. But the crust underneath was not soft. It was not hard, right? So Chris,
super soft.
Chris is like, let me put you onto some game. He's like, throw it on the grill. Never thought about that. Never in a million years. I did that earlier, not today, yesterday. I did that yesterday. Dude, slapped. It was great. Crust underneath was, but you know, it's like, it's funny. When one problem gets solved, another problem exists. I need to now learn, I'll send you a photo of it later, or a video or something. I need to learn how to make this pizza into a circle. Dude, this thing was like a cloud. Just, I'm glad no one else saw it, but it was an ugly looking pizza.
I always make my ones on the grill as a square or as a rectangle, because the grill is a rectangle. I don't care what it looks like. I'm the one eating it.
I should show you. I wonder if I can pull this up. It's on my phone. Hold on. I'm just going to.
It's okay. You text me.
Yeah, I'll text
but,
you.
Yeah, I mean, I always make mine as a rectangle. So in case you guys don't know, the way that I used to make pizza in the oven when I would make my own like pizzas from dough and stuff. But I always found that the center of the pizza was never cooked, or was always like really doughy, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So eventually what I started doing is you just take your normal grill with the grates on it. You put some oil on there with like a brush, like one of those paintbrush thingies. And then you just turn on the gas, get it heated up, and then just throw the dough straight on top of the grates.
Yeah.
And then you bake your pizza on top of it, and then close the grill. And then that's basically an oven. I usually keep pretty low heat in order to not burn the bottom of it. And then you just basically make your grill an oven.
Dude,
so
I have mine at like pretty high. 2 burners, pretty high.
Oh yeah, because if you do that, you're going to burn the bottom only. So you have to go like pretty medium or low.
So I have a photo here. I'm just going to show the camera if you guys want to look at this. But
yeah, if you guys don't know, go ahead and check it on YouTube, because we have a video as well for those who only listen on the pod.
I see one comment in the chat. You will pay. You will pay. Okay. This is not it's not a pretty pizza. I tried getting it on the oven and it was like sticking. I was like, I brought it back inside, I tried to fix it. And then I was like, should I just make this a calzone and fold it? Nope. So that's what it turned out to be.
It was fine. Was it good?
It was not bad. I liked it.
Okay.
I enjoyed. Listen, there's some work to be done. I need to put some more sauce. I didn't put that much sauce. I need to put more sauce, but it was good. I can build on it. That's what I need.
I'll say this, like plating your food and making it look nice. Like, is that important? Yeah, sure. But like the more important thing is like, does it taste good? Going down. That's because at the end it's going to look the same when it comes out. So what does it really matter?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my win of the week.
It's not like if it looked nicer going in, it's going to smell better going out. Like it's going to look the exact same. So
yeah,
F it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your win of the week?
My win of the week. It's pretty cool. Me and my wife recently booked 5 nights at a 5-star all-inclusive hotel for next year.
Did you know about this?
Did I know it? I did know it. We talked about this at length.
Yeah, my wife booked a friggin' like 5-star hotel. I'm like, oh, good or bad?
Yeah,
like how we run this?
Yeah, so this hotel is normally $1,200 a night.
Okay.
Which is plus taxes and fees, which is pretty expensive. So $1,200 a night for 5 nights, that'd be $6,000 plus taxes and fees. Taxes and fees are usually like 8 to 10%. So that'd have been like $6,600. Due to using credit card points, we were able to get a 95% discount on the thing. So we saved ourselves just under $5,700.
Holy crap.
So we used 258,000 points from our Chase cards. We transferred them to Hyatt. Once we did that, we had enough points, minus just a little bit. So we ended up purchasing the extra 1,800 points that we needed from Hyatt, because they had a discount at the time to purchase them. So we ended up purchasing them for $312. If you book travel or you book hotels through Hyatt with points, you don't have to pay taxes and fees. So we were able to actually supersede the taxes and fees, not have to pay that. So for our whole trip, we had to pay for the credit cards. Obviously, we paid for the annual fees on the credit cards that we had to do for the 1 year. We hit the minimum spend, which isn't spending any additional that we wouldn't do. But we spent in total for the 2 cards to get the bonus point, or maybe 3 cards. We spent like $300 for the 3 cards annual fees, $312 for the 18,000 points that we needed. So we spent like $600 for $6,600 worth of value.
Not bad.
To be able to stay 5 nights at a all-inclusive hotel next year. And now we have basically the entire year to look forward to this great trip. And that's why I like booking so far in advance. Is first off, you get lower fares if you book way in advance. But more importantly, you have a whole year of getting to look forward towards doing something fun with your family, which is, almost half the fun.
Dude, that's sweaty. That's so nice. That's ridiculous. 1,200 a night is crazy, though. That's a crazy.
Apparently, this hotel gives you your own private butler.
Is his name Alfred?
He better be,
dude. 1,200 a night. I bet 1,200 a night. I should be naming the butler, honestly.
Well, apparently, it's got like 16 like 5-star restaurants on there, and they're all inclusive. Like everything is included. Everything. The only things that aren't included are specialty alcohols and specialty cigars. But they even have like a cold plunge on premises.
you would be looking for that.
Did you guys have a cold plunge? They're like, well, I said, yes, we do.
That's really funny. That's really funny, Chris. That's really good.
So I could get to keep my cold plunge up
buddy.
on
you know
vacationing.
It. You know it.
Every day, 4 minutes at 40 degrees. I'm like, what's this water set at? They're like, it's only set at 50 degrees, sir. Turn it down 10 degrees.
10 degrees. Do you have any ice? Get some ice from the machine.
You got ice? Let's get this done.
That's awesome.
Let's get this done, son.
Yep. I love 5 minutes at 50 degrees now. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't want to have to extend my time and try to get out of here.
Exactly. Heck yeah. Well, those are the wins of the week. That's pretty nice. That's pretty damn nice.
I'm excited.
Dude.
I'm excited. My wife's excited. She's happy. And as long as she's happy, I'm happy. But I'm also happy all the time. So
there we go. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed those win of the weeks. Hopefully they motivated you to either book a very expensive hotel for very cheap or make a pizza. So yeah, different phases of life Chris and I are in. But I get it one day.
If you guys want to learn more about credit card hacking, again, episode 30 FF, 31 and 31 FF are all about the credit card hacking and how I've been doing it for over a decade and traveling the world for mostly free. So go back, listen to those episodes if you don't know. And if you ever need us to, you can always hop on a private coaching call with me. And I can try to help you learn it to your situation. But of course that costs money, or you can just go and do it, listen to what I'm giving the wisdom for free and glean it to your own life, whatever you want to do.
Bingo. Well, that's it. That's it for today's pod. If you're already at the end, if you're still here, make sure to subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to follow, make sure to like, all that fun stuff. If you are on YouTube, hit us with a comment. See, what was your favorite part about today's pod? Did you like the pizza comments? Probably not. Yeah, again, like I said earlier in the pod, if I see any comments about that pizza, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get banned. You're perma banned. No, I won't be that mean. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure to tell a friend. It's always better to go on this financial journey when you're going with a friend or a spouse or a loved one or even your parents. It's never too late to start being good and healthy with finance. But yeah, guys.
And only here at the Fi Guys are we bringing in psychology, philosophy, finance,
food,
and we're bringing nuance to the conversation. So please tell a friend about it, because I think we're the only people doing this in this game right now. So as someone who's actually professional in it too, not just some random guy.
Yeah,
this is actually my job. Yeah. So guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Monday for another exciting episode. Until then, this is Chris and Dom signing out. Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.